Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Broncos 3.5-point favorites in this one. Raiders are Raiders sitting, on the other side of a field goal, except for one book out there. You can still find a flat 344 is your total. Steven, I'll start with you because Adam knows a lot about this Raiders squad. Listen, are you buying into Sean Payton coming in and fixing Russell Wilson, or is Russell Wilson broken beyond repair, or is he just an aging, declining quarterback and he's not terrible, but he's never going to be like what we think of as Russell Wilson again? He's probably just more somewhere in the middle.
I think Denver and Russell Wilson will be improved from what we saw a year ago, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to be good. Talked a little bit in the preseason about the fact that this is not just last year where Russell Wilson disappointed and maybe you can blame Nathaniel Hackett. It goes back to his final season in Seattle as well, where he was below average in EPA and success rate, throwing to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And also, this is maybe a bit of a hot take, but Sean Payton loses Drew Brees to retirement and has a below average offense his first year without Drew Brees when he was in New Orleans. So they had a winning record, but I would give more credit to the defense that year. So I thought this was the line move in the offseason that I disagreed with the most. This opened closer to a pick 'em in the summer, and now it's all the way out to 3.5. At one point, it got to 4.5 before we finally got some buyback on the Raiders. And listen, Josh McDaniels, I think, is maybe the nut low of bad head coaches in this league at this point. It's a short list, and he's on it. And I never want to back him as a favorite, but we're at the point now at more than a field goal where I took the bait. I took some McDaniels +4, and it looks like we're probably going to close around +3.5 here. So I need to see it first with Denver and Russell Wilson. And I also don't like that they lost their defensive coordinator, who it seems everybody has a ton of respect for in Evero.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy thing is interesting as well. If he's not out there, this offense is certainly not near as potent. So that is something to take into account. Adam, I know you talk a lot about the Raiders. What do you feel in this game on the other side of a field goal?
Man, I wish I had some feel for who Russell Wilson is going to be this year, because if I believe that Russell Wilson could be even 25% better than he was last year, I would be all over every Denver side that you would give me, even at more than a field goal, because there's so much that is in the favor of the Denver Broncos here. You get the Raiders coming to altitude for the very first game of the season. You have no idea what the conditioning looks like for them. You get Jimmy Garoppolo off half an off season, right? Mm-hmm. Having played very, very little in the preseason. You get Josh Jacobs having zero practice, zero training camp. And then that's not even to talk about this absolutely nonsensical Chandler Jones situation that is going on right now with the Raiders, right? Chandler Jones is very likely not playing this week for the Raiders. He might not play this season for the Raiders. They just barely got Tyree Wilson, their number 7 overall pick from Texas Tech, into the fold. He's not going to be a factor here in week 1. If you set this up for the Broncos to be able to put 2 and 3 guys on Max Crosby, there's no pass rush to be had for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you think you can name 2 Las Vegas Raiders cornerbacks, I will give you a shiny Buffalo nickel. Anyone? I can, because I follow this team.
Well, the only reason I know Marcus Peters is because it was a thing when he signed with them. So like that.
It was a thing. Marcus Peters, Duke Shelley, Brandon Faison. Yeah, guys.
There you go. Yeah.
Guys, come on. Like, that's what it's going to look like in the secondary. So I think this question, if we're going to talk about this game, the question comes down to Sean Payton. Period. End of story. If you think Sean Payton is going to come in and fix the Broncos, then you believe that the Broncos are going to win this game and probably win it at margin. Period. And your read on this game, to me, tells you what you think of the Broncos season long. And I happen to, I want to believe in the Broncos. I want to think this is a roster that can at least be better than it was last year. Strength of schedule is in the middle. If you think Russ can still play, then you probably think this is a team that you should be leaning toward playing over on the season win total, right? You should think this team can win 8 or 9 games if you think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton can fix it. Because, Matt, you know very well as a Saints fan, look back at the history of Sean Payton. There are not a lot of bad teams during the era of Sean Payton. Now, on the other side with the Raiders, I'm looking alt unders because I think about the way this season goes for the Raiders. If Jimmy G gets hurt, they are tanking. End of story. You might consider them tanking right now, even with Jimmy Garoppolo on the field. But if he gets hurt, you are going to see an entire season of Aiden O'Connell and this team trying to get a top 3 pick. So if you can find a good price on a Raiders under 5.5 wins, under 4.5 wins, I think that's the way to look.
Yeah, if you look on the Broncos side, they're not out yet. There's no props because the Jerry Jeudy thing is still floating. But if he does get ruled out, or even if he's ruled in, he'll probably be limited as it is anyway. It might not be Cortland Sutton. It might be Marvin Mims who ends up being their number 1 target in this game. And so whatever his prop comes out, just take a look. As long as it's not absurd, might be the way to look here. A guy that got a lot of look in the preseason, and apparently Russell Wilson, for whatever reason, has a lot of trust in, even though he's a rookie. So it might not be like, oh, Jerry Jeudy's out, all the targets are going to go to Cortland Sutton. It might actually be Marvin Mims. So just something to
Matt,
look at there. Yeah,
Matt, I just wanted what I heard. Actually, I heard this from one of the Denver beat reporters. Marvin Mims' high knees are fantastic. And they've been working on him together, like on the team plane in preseason. Marvin Mims and Russell Wilson back of the plane, high knees all the way there.
See, that's how you bond. That's how you bond with your quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's what you do right there.